Hey everyone, I'm Charlie from Margins Mushrooms, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your oyster mushroom grow kits. Oyster mushrooms are a fun and exciting mushrooms to start growing at home. They've got a unique flavour, a chewy texture, and can be used in a variety of different meals. There's a few key points to know before we start growing oyster mushrooms, which I'll explain now. Don't forget, these are a living organism, so if you buy these from one of our farmers markets or purchase it online, it must be started straight away. If you plan to give it away as a gift or don't intend to start it straight away, keep it in the fridge. That will best preserve its life. So we've just received our oyster mushroom kit. What do we do? Alright, so we need to find a suitable spot. We're going to need to soak the compost block for 24 hours in water, and then we're going to have to cut a few holes. Easy as that. Alright, let's get started, guys. Alrighty, so we're now here in the laundry, and the next step to it is that we're going to soak the compost block for 24 hours in water. So we'll either just underneath the seal cut a tiny little hole, or if you can, rip open the top. So this one here, I just opened just the top here, and what I'm going to do is soak it in water for 24 hours. So I'll fill this bag up. Just filling the bag up to make sure it goes just underneath that seal. We're going to fully submerge this compost. What this will do, this will trigger the mycelium to grow mushrooms once it's in the right conditions. So this is a very crucial step. Alrighty, so you'll see that I've filled the compost up and my compost bag is soaking in water. What I'm going to do is leave it in the sink for 24 hours, and tomorrow we'll come back and continue the process. So we'll cut some holes tomorrow. Alrighty, see you tomorrow. Okay, and we're back. Different day, but same positive attitude for growing mushrooms. Alrighty, so yesterday we soaked our compost block in water for 24 hours. You can see the water's turned a little bit brown. There's a few little loose parts. Don't worry so much about that. So what we're going to do today is drain the water out. We're going to cut a few holes and find a suitable location for it. Alright, so first step, once we've picked up our bag of compost, we're going to drain it out. Just drain out all the water. If there is excess water at the bottom, it can create a little bit of a funky smell. So just try and drain it all out. It might take a couple minutes. Alright. So now that our compost bag's all drained out, what we're going to do is cut a few holes. So I always recommend either using a Stanley knife or a sharp knife. So first step that I like to do, I always try and rip open the top of the compost bag. So just at that seal, what we're going to do, if it doesn't come up just from there, try and just cut one side. Just like that. So what this does, it opens up the top of the bag. So like this. What this will help with when we use our mister bottle to keep our moisture in, this will actually, you'll be able to mist the walls, and this will help keep the moisture in. Alrighty, now to take your trusty knife, and what we're going to do is cut a few, say 2-3 centimeter X's across the sides of the bags. So we'll take our knife, I'll move a little bit closer. We're going to go 1, 2, whoops. Try and cut that open a little bit. This is where our mushrooms will form out. Alright, cut another hole here. Cut another hole there. Let's say, oh, that's a bit of a big one. Try not to cut down too many holes or down the bottom too much, because what will happen is it will ruin the integrity of the bag and it will come loose, and then the oyster mushroom kit will dry out, and it will crumble apart. So I've cut a few holes there. I reckon I can even do one more little one just up here. So cut that there. Alrighty. So we've cut our holes. Our tops are exposed. On to the next step of finding a suitable location. So finding a suitable location for your oyster mushroom kits is pretty easy. Oyster mushrooms actually like very mild household temperatures, so anywhere ranging from say 18 to 24 degrees. If it's any colder than 18 degrees, it will slow the mushroom growth. You'll still get mushrooms, it might just take a few days longer. If it's any hotter than 25 degrees, you run the risk of actually heat stress with the compost block. The mycelium actually starts to break down around 30 degrees, and what will happen is you just won't get a harvest. So try and keep it around that 18 to 24 degree mark. Mushrooms also like, the oyster mushroom kits, also like to have a minimum of 6 hours light a day. So it can either be artificial light or filtered light through a window, just not in direct sunlight. What will happen is if it's in direct sunlight, it will dry the compost block out and kill the mycelium. So this is actually a pretty suitable location for us here. You'll see lights coming through. It's actually a nice sort of mild, warm place of the house. And so what I'm going to do is to set it up on a bucket, just so it's not on the bench. So I've got a little bucket here. I'm going to place it up here. For the first few days, I always recommend misting it and trying to keep the bag sealed. This will keep it nice and moist and give the mycelium the best chance to grow. After a couple days, you can open it up and mist it. So when we're misting it, guys, just a little bit closer, I always recommend to do on where you've cut the holes and around there. Also mist the walls and the top of the compost block. Just a few mists each day. Every household is a little bit different. Some places will be drier than others. You sort of got to take it and judge it yourself. Once it is sort of covered up, once it's all wet, I always recommend covering it up for the first few days. So we'll just leave it like this, and I'll come back as I'm coming through a couple hours later on. I'll give it another mist. Maybe tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll give it another mist. The idea is not to absolutely soak it, but to just keep the moisture in there so it doesn't dry out. If you don't have a suitable spot like this, I'll show you a few other places. Alright, so we're also in the bathroom here, guys. If you don't have a laundry that's suitable, you can also leave it in your bathroom. So on the kitchen sink here, we have a window where natural light's coming through. We also have a lamp. We have the shower humidity, which will help with that. We also have our lights on, so it's a very high trafficked area. We'll be able to see it growing. We can mist it. It's a good spot here. If you don't want to put it on there, once again, you can use a bucket. Another suitable spot is here in the corner. Once again, we'll have light coming through. If you don't want to leave it on your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink, you can use a little shelf, use a box. I'm going to place down a tea towel here, down there, so that the compost is there, and that if any moisture does come out of the compost block, that this towel will absorb it. Another trusty spot is just here, right in the kitchen. We have a window which lets light through. We have our regular lights on. It's a very high traffic part of the house, so we're able to keep an eye on it, we're able to mist it when it's needed, and we're able to watch them grow. So what I'm going to do, just got my tea towel here again, place that down, place that on top there. Easy as that. Alright, so for the next couple of days, we've got our suitable spot. I'm going to keep misting it a couple of times each day. Times around the outsides. Make sure you get it in the holes, and we'll just leave it like that. Close that over. So I'll come back and show you some progress over the next week or so. Alrighty, so I've had a change of plans. I know my mum's going to freak out if I put it back in the kitchen, so I'm going to put the bucket there, tea towel, mushroom block on top. As I said before, there's filtered light coming through the window. I've got my mister bottle here to keep moisture up. I'll come back and show you some progress over the next couple of days. Well, this is pretty exciting. Finally got a few little oyster mushrooms starting to form up on top here. Big cluster over here. Another big one there. A couple down the sides here. A few really small ones just started to form up here. Let's check out the sides. Alright, another couple here. Here's some here that's forming behind the plastic. I'm gonna have to actually chop this here, and that way it exposes, and hopefully these should still grow out from the side. Alright, it's pretty exciting. I'm gonna give it another mist and then we'll come back tomorrow. Alright, so next day, look how much they've grown overnight. Wow. They're all really starting to happen. Very exciting. Alrighty, so the exciting days come. Our oyster mushrooms are ready to pick. So we've grown them out a couple extra days and we've kept misting them. And so when we're getting ready to pick, I'll get you to come in here a little bit closer. What we're gonna do is give it a little twist. And so the idea is not just to pull it out, because what's gonna happen is it will take all the compost. You wanna give it a twist. So you get as close to the compost as possible and then just twist it like that. And it's gonna just come off from the compost block. Alrighty, so all these mushrooms are ready to harvest. So I'm just gonna harvest them all. So with the idea of when we're gonna pick these, again, we're gonna get as close to the compost as possible and just give it a little twist, just like so. Boom. It's gonna take that little bit of a root off, and we'll grab our knife and just chop off that bottom centimeter, just like so. And then we've got some beautiful oyster mushrooms. Whoops. There we go, look at this. So we can use these in stir fries or risottos, rice paper rolls, ramen soup. Like, there's endless possibilities with these. Alright, so we'll just go again, once again, we'll just get a little bit closer. Give it a little twist, just like so. And we'll just grab our knife, chop off that bottom centimeter, just there, and there. Discard that. There we go. Alright, so this is our very first harvest of our oyster mushrooms. And we've got an awesome crop here. They just look beautiful. Alrighty, now what the time is to do with this is we're going to restart our process. So we're going to take our compost block, we're going to find a bucket and put it in the bucket, submerge it in water for 24 hours. After the 24 hours, we'll drain out all the water again. That will just restart the process and then we're good to go. In a couple of weeks' time, you'll be ready to get a second harvest of oyster mushrooms.